Different Maryland players helped their draft status this week.
You are Locked On Terps, your daily podcast on the Maryland Terps. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, everyone? I'm Tre Moore, video content creator for 247 Sports and InsideMarylandSports.com, and host of Locked On Terps, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. So thank you for making us part of your day. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. New customers join today and you'll get $200 in bonus bets if your first bet of $5 or more wins. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. Maryland Terrapins are improving their draft status in a big way possible this week. Maryland, different players participated in the Senior Bowl and the Shrine Bowl, which a lot of you guys know is for some of the best players in the country, college players that are going to the NFL draft. They get invited to these different events. I've talked about different Maryland players that have gotten invited to the Senior Bowl this year and have gotten invited to the Shrine Bowl, but those events are really starting to ramp up and have happened. The Shrine Bowl game happened, and there's been a lot of things and reports coming out about the Senior Bowl, and there's different Maryland players that have absolutely impressed and have definitely improved their draft status. I wish I was there and able to really watch the event in person and really see exactly what happens at these type of events. I think that would be one of the coolest things, to go to one of these type of things like the Senior Bowl or the Shrine Bowl, like NFL scouts do, and have a board of players you want to look at and all these different things that they look at. I think that's a really cool thing to be able to do. But I was following a lot of people on Twitter, seeing what's going on, getting the different reports of what's going on with the Maryland players, because obviously I wanted to know and I wanted to come on here and talk about the good, the bad, the ugly, anything that was happening with the Maryland Terrapins players. But overall, it looks like there was a lot of good happening with the Maryland football players, a lot of good reports, guys improving their draft stock. And this is the week to do it. If you do well in the Senior Bowl, if you do well in the Shrine Bowl, you can improve your draft stock a lot, and that's what it looks like a lot of Maryland Terrapins did. Let's start with Bo Braid, who is probably right now the highest on people's board, a player that's coming from Maryland, the highest Maryland player on NFL draft boards right now. Bo Braid, I think, really has a shot to do something pretty special in this NFL draft. I think he has a chance. I think his potential can lead him up at his highest level. I think the highest he can get to, I think, is the second round. I really do think he can get to the second round and be a top 5 safety in this draft. I'm looking at him as anywhere from a second to fourth round guy. I doubt he slides all the way down to the fifth round, but I think anywhere from second to fourth, maybe fifth round, should be realistic for Bo Braid overall. And it sounds like, from the reports that was going on, if you guys remember, Bo Braid was invited to the Senior Bowl, and he has participated in that. But it sounds like the reports that have gone on about Bo Braid is that he has impressed. He's impressed different scouts. He's impressed different people. He's impressed different analysts. Bo Braid has, and that seems like to be the common ground on Bo Braid. It looks like a lot of people are impressed by what he did and that he had a really good week. I keep wanting to say weekend, but I guess a lot of this happens during the week. But it looks like he had a really good couple of days at the Senior Bowl to help his draft status overall. And different experts had different things to say. One NFL writer named Benjamin Solak said, Maryland Bo Braid can clearly play. So I take away from that, he had a pretty big weekend if someone tweeted that out. And remember that they can tweet out about anybody. There's a ton of players at this type of event. It's a lot of the best seniors in college football. The guys that you don't usually get the guys that are going to be like the top 10-ish picks. And a lot of those guys are going to be juniors anyway. But you get basically everyone else. You get a lot of guys that are going to maybe go late first round, second round, third round, fourth round. All those type of guys that are seniors usually are at the Senior Bowl. So they have a selection of anyone to tweet about. So when they're saying Bo Braid can clearly play football, that means not only is he just doing things right way, he's standing out. There's a difference between just doing things right, playing your coverage, tackling right, and going through the motions and doing everything at a pretty solid level. he's doing things at a high enough level to be able to stand out and differentiate himself from the rest of the group, the rest of the safeties. And then to go along with that, somebody said that he was in their basically all defensive team. They're all defensive team for this weekend for the Senior Bowl. So they had one player basically at every position. Like they had a strong safety, free safety, linebacker, edge rusher, like just going through all the positions and the 11 players on defense. They had basically one player to fit like the Senior Bowl all team. Just think about it as like an all Big Ten selection or an all pro selection in the NFL, that type of thing. They said that Bo Braid was on that defensive all defensive team for the Senior Bowl. So I got two big time tweets, and I'm sure there's some other ones that I missed. That Bo Braid has definitely played well in the Senior Bowl, and if he tests well, I don't know how well he's going to test because I don't know how fast he is and how his athleticism match up with what the NFL wants. I don't know what kind of 40 he'll run and all that type of stuff, but if he runs a good time, I'm telling you, he can definitely slide into the second round. If I have my best guess is he goes third, fourth round though right now. And then on to some big news. Taulia Tagovailoa, quarterback for Maryland, which maybe I should have started with this, but Taulia Tagovailoa impressed in the Shrine Bowl. So Bo Braid, don't get it confused. Bo Braid is at the Senior Bowl. Taulia is at the Shrine Bowl. Those are two different things, but it sounds like Taulia did impress in the Shrine Bowl overall, which is the Shrine Bowl similar to the Senior Bowl. Other Maryland players are there, which we're going to talk about in a little bit, but there's still a ton of really, really good players. Maybe it's not at the same level as the Senior Bowl quite, but it's still a lot of the top players in the Shrine Bowl. And Taulia in last night's game, if you want to go check out the clips and you can look it up, it's on Maryland's Instagram account. They actually released some of his throws that they made. Both events also have a ton of scouts too, like a ton of NFL scouts. But last night, Taulia went 9 of 14, 142 yards, and had some big-time throws. So he had a really solid performance. And then he also had a big run in the red zone where he outrushed the defensive end. And I've seen a lot of Taulia. I've seen basically every single game. I have seen every single game that he's played as a Maryland player. And the funny thing is, I don't know if I've seen him go faster than when I saw him go in the Shrine Bowl when he was outrushing that defensive end. He looked faster than he normally does, which kind of caught me by surprise. I was like, he has that gear in him? He just looked like he looked pretty fast in that clip. If you want to go check it out, like I said, it's on the Maryland Instagram. They just posted his highlights from that game, and I'm sure you can find it like on YouTube or something like that. But he looked pretty fast. He threw the ball definitely well. He was a player that a lot of people were impressed on. There's articles about it. So I think Taulia also helped his draft stock a lot. If you remember, there was questions. Is he going to go to college? Is he going to go back to college yet? Is he going to get that waiver? What is going on with Taulia? How is that exactly going to go down with him? But overall, it sounds like he put himself in a decent spot in terms of the getting drafted. It does sound like he will get drafted. So overall, a great weekend for Taulia. I saw somewhere that said he's in the top 11 quarterbacks. I'm not sure exactly where that would get him drafted. I do think he has a pretty good shot at getting drafted. I really have no idea where Taulia is going to get drafted overall because I think he has some limit in terms of physical tools, which NFL doesn't love guys that they prefer higher ceiling, but I think he can go be a solid backup somewhere with, like, I think about him as like a Bryce Young. I think he can go back up or be a third string for Bryce Young because I think he does a lot of similar things. I think of a player like that. I think he can go be someone's backup somewhere overall. But let's get into a couple of Terps players in the secondary that have both played well. Jaquan Shepard and Tarheeb Still are both at the Shrine Bowl with Taulia, and both have had multiple clips online on Twitter. I saw one of Jaquan Shepard in a tweet that he was clamping some wide receiver, and I've seen many things about Tarheeb Still. A couple quotes I saw about Tarheeb Still that I want to read out said, Maryland quarterback Tarheeb Still got himself an interception against Oklahoma receiver Drake Stoops, had great coverage on the corner route, and picked off the pass. And then another thing about Tarheeb Still said, Tarheeb Still just had probably the best defensive rep I've seen at the Shrine Bowl. Unbelievable tracking of the ball and to make an interception in the back corner of the end zone. He's had flashes of brilliance over the last 2 days. So Tarheeb Still's been playing big-time football at the Shrine Bowl. So Bo Bray's been playing good football. Taulia's been playing good football. Jaquan Shepard had a couple of clips of him doing some good things. I don't know overall how well Jaquan Shepard has performed. I'm not saying it's been poor. There just hasn't been as many reports out. And then Tarheeb Still also sounds like he's been playing really well. So the Terps, in my opinion, are improving their draft stocks and shining at the Senior Bowl and the Shrine Bowl and look like they have been doing some special things there and look like they've been at the top of their game. I think Tarheeb Still, when I think about his draft status, it's a hard one for me too. As you get closer to the draft, you'll more understand. I don't know what the situation is with these guys getting combine invites overall. I don't know if that's come out. I might have missed that. But if he goes to the combine, Maryland will still have their pro day. But Tarheeb still has a chance to definitely run a pretty good time and test pretty well. I don't know where he could go in the draft. I think like probably middle rounds, like 5th round, 4th round, but like 3rd round, 6th round, I don't know exactly. In my opinion, he's a really top, really solid player, and he can play the outside and the inside, which I think that versatility is big time. But he definitely improved his draft status at the Shrine Bowl, which was exactly the point I wanted to make. Let's move on to Terps basketball. Maryland has a huge game against Michigan State on Saturday. How can they get the win? I will tell you about that after this ad from FanDuel. Happy Super Bowl to all who celebrate from FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. If you're like me, Super Bowl Sundays is all about scoring the best seat on the couch and grabbing your favorite football snacks. Super Bowl Sunday is like a holiday. Everybody's watching. You get your friends and your family involved. It's the best type of food, wings, pizza, ice cream, whatever you like. Super Bowl Sunday is always the way to go. FanDuel has so many ways for you to end the season with a dub or 2 or 3. Not only can you bet on who will win Super Bowl 58, but FanDuel also has bets for which players will score a touchdown, how many points will be scored, and so much more. New customers join today, and you'll get $200 in bonus bets if your first bet of $5 or more wins. Just visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to sign up. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. How can Maryland get a big win against Michigan State? I will tell you how the Terps can win. Let's start with this. Give it a little background of this game, how big of a deal this game. The Terps travel to Michigan State to play the Spartans tomorrow at 5:30 on the road against the Michigan State Spartans, the Tom Izzo-led Spartans, a blue blood in college basketball. Really hard place to win at. It's really hard to win at Michigan State. It's really hard to beat that type of team. And this is a big, big game. Look at the Big Ten standings. We're both 5-5 right now in the Big Ten, and we're also both 13-8 overall. We're two teams looking pretty far out of the tournament selection. I made a video yesterday about, can Maryland make the tournament? Do they have any chance of making it? And beating this team, Michigan State, is going to be a big deal because we're in similar spots. We're both pretty outside looking in, but never say never. If we go on some type of streak in the Big Ten, both of these teams, I think you have a shot. But it starts with beating these teams. Both of these teams need a win. So how does Maryland win this game on the road tomorrow evening? I will tell you that now. No slow start. We have data from the first game of Michigan State and Maryland where Michigan State won 61-59. And so I'm drawing a lot of that, what we can't do from that game, because that game was a winnable game. I thought we should have won that game. But the slow start killed us. You can't start slow, especially in their place. Starting slow at home, okay, maybe you can come back. But starting slow on the road, it's tough. It's tough to come back. It's tough to come back and win on the road when you start slow. It's tough to get back into it, especially when the crowd is going to be behind them at all times. But we went down 44-32 in the first half last game at home. We can't give up 44 first half points, and I don't think that we will. But you can't go down double digits on the road against Michigan State in the first half. It's got to be within, I would like to say, a 6-5 point game at half. And I think we got to keep it within that range because I just don't see us winning the game if we don't I think also it would be huge if we had a first half lead, but I'm not that I doubt that will happen, but that's not going to be an easy thing to do. It seems like we're more of a second half team, but slow start definitely cannot happen. Defense has to travel. Our defense has traveled most of the year. A lot of people have been talking about our defense on KenPom and stuff. We rank top of the country in defensive statistics. Like, I want to say it's like top 10 in the country, like overall for Maryland's defensive stats. I think I saw that we were like number 7 in defensive stats. And defense travels on the road. Sometimes offense, it's hard to play good offense on the road. But I think our defense it's been the top of the Big Ten. We're one of the best, if not the best defensive team in the Big Ten. It has kept us in games. So it has to continue to keep us in games and slow this Michigan State team down. They are solid offensively. They're a good team offensively. They have some really good players, and I think they have underachieved, which you don't really think would happen with the Tom Izzo team. You don't think of Michigan State as a typical team that would underachieve in terms of having some talent. But I think they've underachieved a little bit with what their offensive talent. I think they're starting to figure things out. Like I said, Maryland's starting to figure things out. I think Michigan State is starting to figure things out. They had some bad losses early on, but I think offensively and even defensively, just overall as a team, I think they're starting to figure out how to win games and how to be better. But the offense is probably not going to be the reason we win this type of game. It's probably going to be on the back of the defense. So overall, our defense has to come up big, maybe force some turnovers. Tyson Walker, one of the best players in the Big Ten for sure. He's been quiet lately. Don't let him go off. We've been doing a good job, especially against Nebraska. We forced both of their 2 best players under 10 points. Don't let this guy go for like 25 because he can definitely do it in his ability. Don't let him find confidence early on in the game. Force him under 15 points, and I think we're in a good spot. Turnovers is going to be huge. The first game, that's the biggest reason why Maryland couldn't complete the second half comeback against Michigan State. We sucked in terms of turning over the ball. We turned over the ball a ton in the second half against Michigan, or in the first half, in the entire game against Michigan State last time. The turnover battle was terrible, and it was especially our guard play. And it was our best player, Jahmir Young, had 7 turnovers, which absolutely cannot happen for Jahmir Young. 7 turnovers is criminal for Jahmir Young. He's got to stay. He creates a ton of our offense, so he's going to have a turnover or 2, but he can't have more than probably 2. I mean, 3 is already kind of stretching it. I mean, turnovers are going to happen, but also Deshaun Harris-Smith had 4. Deshaun Harris-Smith, he's not shooting the ball particularly well this year, so he can't turn over the ball. You can't add those things together. Then it's really hard to win with turning over the ball and not shooting the ball well when one of your players in your starting lineup is able to do that. So I would say our defense needs to force some turnovers, but we also have to limit some of the turnovers that we have. Bench scoring. I think this is a key. I think this is one of the biggest keys. I've talked about Jahari Long and Jamie Kaiser a good bit over these last couple of days, especially after the big win against Nebraska because of how many points they scored, how big they were off the bench. The first game where we had 2 guys in double figures off the bench, I think. But I'm thinking Kaiser and Jahari Long have to come up big. They gotta produce off the bench. We're going to need a little kick off the bench, I think, in this game. I could be wrong. Maybe their starters can do it. Maybe we don't need both of them, but one of them at least is going to have to do something off the bench. I think Jahari Long, I'm going to say it again, I think he should be a starter. I think he deserves to be a starter. But we're going to need him off the bench to do some things if we want to win this game. I don't know if the starters are going to have enough in them. We're going to need someone to come off. Maybe Kaiser's a couple of threes. I don't know. But I think that we have to have a little bit off the bench to be able to win this game. Let's get into the predictions for the game. What do I think will actually happen? I will tell you about that right now. I think Maryland wins this game. It's really hard to beat a team twice, and Michigan State did beat us once. But in sports, they say it's really tough to beat a team twice. And I don't know if Maryland quantifies for that exactly. I don't know if we're really hard to beat twice. But second game against Michigan State, I think we can beat them. I really do. I think they have a lot of talent. I think they have a lot of good players. Obviously, they're well coached with one of the best college basketball coaches of all time. It's going to be a tough place to play. But I think Maryland knows they need revenge from that horrible game that we played against Michigan State. It wasn't horrible, but a game that we absolutely could have won at our place where it could have been a huge win for the Terps. We could have been over 500 in the conference. We could have been in a better spot than we are now, feeling like we have to beat this Michigan State team. And that's another reason why I think we have to win, because we have to win this game. I think this Maryland basketball team over the last couple of games and games that we've had to win, whether it's Nebraska, whether it's Iowa, I think we've been really solid in the games that we feel like we have to win if we want a chance at March at all, even though I don't think there's much of a chance really, but you never know. And we're playing like our hair's on fire and like we have to win the game overall. So I think that's a big thing as well, is that it feels like we have to win this game. And I feel like Maryland will come out with that energy. But to conflict my point, to argue the other side, this game is also kind of a must-win game for Michigan State as well. It's at home. They have the home court advantage, and their fans will know that they need to win this game. So you can kind of play both sides, but I do think that Maryland's energy will be there, and I think Jameer Young has been pretty clutch in some of these type of games. On the road, Jameer Young plays really well, so if he can get some of that help from everyone else, then I think that we're going to do that. And to go along with that help, I've seen this Maryland team start to put everything together, honestly. It hasn't come together fully at once, but I've seen spots where everybody has showed that they can be a really high-level player, basically. I know that Jameer Young can drop 35. I know that Julian Reese can drop 20. I know that Dante Scott can shoot 3 of 5 from the 3 and go for 15 points or 20 points or whatever and be second on our team in scoring behind Jameer Young. And I have seen now Jamie Kaiser come off the bench and light the world on fire and shoot the ball at a really high level, shoot 4 or 5 from the 3-point line against Nebraska. I have seen Deshaun Harris-Smith have some solid games. I have seen Jordan Geronimo play really well defensively and have a huge impact on the game. And I have seen who else have I seen that has done some really good things? I mean, that's about it, but I've seen everyone on the team. Jahari Long as well. He's done some really good things. And I'm looking at this team and I'm saying, I've seen players do it at different times. But if Maryland puts it all together and we do it all at once, which I think we've been starting to figure it out. And I think that's the reason why we beat this Michigan State team. I think we're really starting to figure it all out and be able to put it all together. And I think Kevin Willard's doing a pretty good job of bringing it out of everyone. But I think that we can win this game if we put together this performance and everybody does their job. Obviously, someone can have a bad game or whatnot. That can happen, or a mediocre game from Jameer Young or whatever. But I do see us starting to put everything together. And also our defense has proven a lot of the season that it's been really good. And so I think we can lean on that defense a little bit. That's all we have for today. Thank you for listening to Locked on Terps. Make sure you like and subscribe. We're here every day talking Maryland football and basketball. So thank you for listening to Locked on Terps.